So for you, Finn, we have fine fleecy fabric for some new joke material, some extra pencils for a sketch you're writing, and a pound of cheddar because you never know when an act needs extra cheese. Need anything else?
I was also thinking I gotta have a joke about knights. You know, gotta catch the audience off guard.
Let's see. Aha! I got some chess pieces that'll work quite nicely. White or black?
Can I have both, please?
Alrighty, black and white knight from Bright. Is that right?
That is quite right.
So polite. It's funny because they look like little horses.
Well, you know how much I love to horse around. Thanks, Bright.
Anytime, Finn. Anytime.
I wonder how the opening theme would sound like on steel drums. I think it might sound absolutely beachy.
Ah, hello, Ripple. What are you doing here?
Oh, just thought I'd shore up and tell you how bubbly I'm feeling right now.
I approve of those puns. But tell me, what has you so buoyant?
Please tell me you've seen the new MLP movie at least twice, maybe 3 times. Huh? Tell me.
Of course I saw it. You saw my hype video, right?
Sorry, but I just can't help it. This movie made me feel like I went from Deep 6 to Cloud 9 in 10 seconds flat. The animation, the music, the moral, the characters both old and new. There's just so much to talk about.
Oh, I know. I loved how much creativity and effort was put into it, especially for a movie adapted from a TV show. Still, there are some parts to nitpick about, as well as tons of unanswered questions.
Oh, tell me about it. The movie was pretty ambitious, considering the amount of time that the big screen gave us, especially when it came to world building and the new characters.
Hey, I get off work in a little bit. Wanna dive into some headcanon territory with me?
Sounds like a brilliant plan.
Hello, every pony. Brad Idea here with my friend Ripple Effect to discuss some theories, headcanons, and personal thoughts surrounding the 2017 My Little Pony movie.
Just a bit of a precaution, we are diving pretty deep on this subject, so if you haven't seen the film yet, be warned, these are treacherous, spoiler-infested waters. Say Bright, since a majority of the audience is most likely familiar with the show and the main characters, should we try to limit our discussions to the newer elements introduced in this movie? Otherwise, we might be here for quite a while.
Good point, Ripple. If you're watching this video, we can probably assume you know all about Equestria and the main 6, plus Spike. But there are plenty of new characters, settings, and other aspects to examine, so I'm sure we won't have any shortage of stuff to talk about.
The first new character we're introduced to is Songbird Serenade, voiced by pop culture star Sia. I don't know, was she really necessary? First time I watched this movie, she reminded me of Gazelle from Zootopia, and Gazelle was more useful in her story.
Zootopia is a unique place. It's a crazy, beautiful, diverse city where we celebrate our differences. This is not the Zootopia I know.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Songbird Serenade has a nice character design, and I do like her song in the finale, but we already have Sapphire Shores and Rara as pony pop stars. Couldn't one of them have sung the song at the end?
It's true that either of them could have been used for the movie, although an easy explanation could be that Sapphire and Rara were simply touring elsewhere. Besides, Sia herself is a very talented singer-songwriter, writing for and with such artists as Alicia Keys, Beyoncé, Rihanna, Christina Aguilera, and Flo Rida. And she contributed her vocals and songs to movies like Finding Dory and Wonder Woman. Not only that, but she's faced her own personal struggles with depression, poor health, and stage fright. Hence why Sia hides her face in live performances. Since Songbird Serenade's eyes are hidden beneath all that floof, one might think it's for spectacle or to sell more toys and pony merch, but it's a pretty perfect ponification of Sia herself in my opinion. Also, Songbird's look is inspired by an actual outfit that Sia wore.
Huh. And I thought Apple Bloom's bow was big. Never thought of it like that before. Gonna be honest, I'm not really into pop culture, so I'll take your word for it. What I personally like about Songbird is her personality. When I first saw her, I thought her mane was a metaphor for her stage mask, like that veil that Rara wore in the main attraction. However, seeing Twilight so nervous, she was the one who broke the ice.
Sorry about the mess. I'm usually not so...
Caked in cake?
She didn't even wait for her bodyguards to clean her before she said that. That spoke volumes to me. Had it been the other way around, I would have seen her as snobbish. But as it is, she's a very friendly and understanding character.
The next new character we're introduced to makes quite the dramatic entrance.
Ponies of Equestria! We come on behalf of the fearsome, the powerful, the almighty Storm King!
Hey Bright, is your channel equipped with a counter?
Yes, why? What are you counting?
Disney comparisons / references.
Well then, be my guest.
Okay, as disappointed as I am in Grubber's character, that reference is just too good.
What can I say except you're welcome?
Okay, in all seriousness, I can't stand Grubber. Voiced by Michael Pena, he's everything I hated in LeFou from the classic version of Beauty and the Beast. From a writing standpoint, I can understand the fact that he's written in so that Tempest feels less threatening to younger audiences. However, from the plot's standpoint, he was absolutely incompetent and lazy. The sole contribution he made to the story was exposing that Trojan cake. Why do the villains even keep a guy like him around?
Grubber's character is one we've seen often enough that it's become a cliche for older viewers. The antagonist paired with the short, non-threatening comic relief. However, speaking of comics, in issue number 1 of the IDW movie prequel comics, Grubber's shown to start out as a lowly airship deck swabber who got promoted to second in command pretty much because of the fact that he's so cowardly and weak. He has complete loyalty and absolutely no motivation or intention to betray the Storm King for any reason.
Aww, the classic rags to riches story. The cabin boy gets promoted to first mate. That would be great, if it wasn't for the fact that in issue number 2, the Storm King was offering that same job to someone obviously more competent.
True, but Captain Solano does turn him down for that.
And later, someone else accepted. My point is, neither in the movie nor in the comics is Grubber shown to be actively doing anything.
Well, look on the bright side. If it weren't for Grubber's laziness, Twilight and her friends wouldn't have had the chance to escape, thus saving all Equestria from certain doom.
Yeah, I'll agree on that. But I think there's one character that almost everyone can agree is one of the best, if not the best, character in the whole movie. No wonder our introduction to her is Commander Tempest, voiced by Emily Blunt. Every time she's on screen, her presence commands your attention. Menacing, apathetic, and nothing less than bone-chilling.
Her name even subtly signals her allegiance to the Storm King. Nice touch.
Here's the deal, ladies. I need your magic. Give it up nicely, please, or we make it difficult. For everyone.
And why should we cower before you? There's one of you, and hundreds of us.
Luna, Your Highness, that threat may sound more intimidating if the ponies had actually used numbers to their advantage in similar situations in the show.
Tempest is one of the best, most competent villains Friendship is Magic has had in the 7 years it's been running. And she's the very first unicorn to have a broken horn in canon.
Not to mention one of the very few ponies in Equestria to have some physical handicap. The only previous examples we have were either seen in cameos or indirectly referenced in their second-tier characters. Back on topic though, even though the princesses were all taken out pretty quickly, it is nice to see them more proactively defending the ponies, especially Cadence providing her shield spell. But alas, one by one, all of the Alicorn princesses are petrified.
And then, surprise of surprises, who protects Twilight from the last crystal bomb? Muffins! Nah, who am I kidding? I'm definitely a derpy devotee all the way. Her name is adorable, darn it!
Derpy didn't save Twilight.
Wait, what?
Yeah, sorry to be a party pooper, Bright, but I'm afraid that many bronies are so caught up in the fact that Derpy got petrified that they don't realize what actually happened. If you watch this scene again very carefully, you can see the rainbow streak zipping by at the exact same moment Derpy came into proximity with Twilight. Now don't get me wrong, what Derpy did was noble and brave. In a situation where the normal response is to run away from danger, she ran towards the danger. But the fact of the matter is, all Derpy did was buy Twilight a few extra seconds. Besides, if Derpy were the one to push Twilight out of the way, Twilight would still have been petrified, as proven near the end where those in close proximity to whomever becoming petrified also become petrified.
Holy guacamole, you're right! Rainbow Dash must have been flying at the speed of light to save Twi in time.
I may be in the severe minority here, but I wasn't as strongly affected by Derpy becoming petrified as a lot of bronies seem to be. And that's mainly because I'm not as invested in her as a character. The only times she had an in-canon contribution to the show were Feeling Pinky Keen, The Last Roundup, and Slice of Life, none of which are in my top 10 favorites list. I mean, sure, seeing a random pony take a hit for Princess Twilight is painful, but wouldn't the impact be more significant if it was some pony closer to Twilight, such as Starlight? At least that would have explained why Starlight doesn't have a prominent role in this movie, and this is coming from someone who used to be a Starlight hater.
I guess you have a point, but I think the reason Derpy had a moment to shine, and not any pony else close to Twilight, is because non-brony audiences don't really need to know who this cross-eyed mare is to feel the impact, and those who do know and care about Derpy, through countless examples in fan-made animations, songs, comics, and stories, get to have a knowing nod with each other and think to themselves, wow, yet another reason to love Derpy.
Personally, I see Derpy's inclusion more as fan pandering. But you do also bring up a valid point. Non-bronies don't need to know who this pony is to feel the weight that is on Twilight's shoulders as she now endeavors to find...
The queen of the... hippos.
Hippos? Seriously?
I've heard they're surprisingly graceful for their size. But they're always hungry.
Hungry? Hippos?
So, did this queen earn her title by gobbling up the most marbles?
Well played, Hasbro. Well played. But back to the movie. The first brand new setting our heroes get to explore in this movie is Cluj Town, and boy does that name fit. There are so many different characters and creatures thrown together in this hodgepodge of a hamlet, I can hardly handle it. Pig people? Fish people? Random mammals? How fascinating. And all itching for a bargain. Kinda reminds me of Griffinstone, only somehow more greedy.
And more terrifying. Apparently slavery is a thing in this town, as these townsfolk have absolutely no qualms about cutting pony manes and unicorn horns, and even buying ponies themselves.
They're almost as rabid as hardcore bronies.
Thank you, kind sir. I'm so glad you found her. I've been looking all over for you.
What are you doing?
Just play along.
In comes Capper, an anthropomorphic cat played by Taye Diggs. He's got the charm and smooth talk to easily persuade the townsfolk that the ponies are some kind of contagion to be avoided. Capper's everything good about Aladdin, and everything morally questionable about Captain Jack Sparrow. Now, he may have been willing to sell the ponies into slavery, but I'm actually kind of grateful that we had that little whisper from Capper about a hefty debt to pay just before the end of his song.
Here, tell Virgo my place 20 minutes. I've got something that will magically erase all my debt.
He's not doing it out of personal grudges. He's just hard on his luck, as apparent by this moment.
After all that you've done for us, consider it a thank you.
Oh, don't thank me, really.
It's for this reason why I believe that Capper is by far the most developed of the new characters in the movie. Dare I say, even more developed than Tempest herself.
Speaking of which, hello, time to move.
What, huh?
Come on, gotta keep the review going. Gotta get to the parrot pirates next.
Whoa, slow down, Bright. I can't keep up with such a breakneck pace. That's actually one of the things that bothered me about this movie. The pacing is like someone who's not used to running trying to do a marathon. They start off at a terrific pace, only to burn out and slow down afterwards. Then they get a new burst of acceleration that fizzles and burns out again.
Yeah, you're kinda right. No sooner do we get acquainted with Capper than we're off and running to an airship piloted by parrot pirates who plunder and pillage in perplexingly pacifist processes. Phew, now there's a tongue twister for ya.
Don't you dare me to say that 10 times fast.
Anyway, these swashbuckling birds get a much shorter time to shine than Capper does, and very little of that time is actually spent being pirates.
It's true. At first glance, this crew is a fair disappointment in the movie. I can barely remember the names of any of these characters, and don't test me on spelling the captain's name. Serving as delivery birds for the Storm King, they're following the rulebook lest they incur his wrath. But I think they might have used that to their advantage. See, when they found the ponies, the crew took some time to scare them before revealing to Twilight and her friends that they had to be thrown overboard. Then when lunch came, they used their one break to delay the action they didn't really want to take. In the comics, Captain Solano, voiced in the movie by Zoe Saldana, once found stowaways on her ship. But rather than throw them overboard, she was willing to take them in as part of her crew. Sounds similar to a certain outlaw and his band of merry men?
Seriously, read the comics. If you feel like it, that is. Also, fun fact, the name Solano originates from Greek mythology and belongs to several different figures. One such figure was one of the Harpies, creatures that are half woman, half bird.
I guess that would explain why these pirates are parrots. When I first saw the trailers for this movie, I thought these pirates were going to be griffins, considering that we have seen in the show how griffins can be a mix of any bird and any cat.
One thing I liked about the pirates was seeing how each one had something unique about them. There's Solano with the crystal peg leg, there's the one with the eye patch, the one with the hook, the pink one, and the bird brain that reminded me of a certain hyena from The Lion King. I also really like how Rainbow Dash was the one to motivate them to find their inner awesomeness, but she really should have been way smarter than to do that sonic rain boom for all the sky to see. Seriously.
Wow! Oh! I'm right there with you, Twilight.
Moving on to the next addition to MLP's lore, Mount Eris and the Hippogriffs. I have to say, I was totally sucked into the sheer scale and the grand design of that ghost town, as well as the underwater kingdom, and I found myself as excited as a little kid watching a Disney movie.
I know what you mean, Bright. For me personally, one of the responsibilities of a movie, especially during its theatrical release, is that it's supposed to make you forget, for even just a few moments, that you're sitting in a theater. It's supposed to draw you into the story and make you feel like you're actually there. And these two settings did that magnificently. Please tell me that they're not... They did. They ripped off Ariel from The Little Mermaid. And Atlantica. And King Triton. Okay, seriously, movie?
Hey, nothing beats the classics.
Sorry, Bright. I'm having a hard time ignoring these similarities when they're happening back to back. It makes the whole setup feel like a Little Mermaid ripoff.
I see what you mean.
I would say I walked into that one, but like the sea ponies here, I don't exactly have an extra leg to stand on.
In all seriousness, this was probably one of my favorite parts of the film. Ever since I found out the MLP movie would have their own version of sea ponies, I was super duper excited, and Princess Skystar and Queen Novo did not disappoint. Although personally, I kind of felt like the One Small Thing song could have had a little more shooby-doo somewhere in the lyrics. Just a thought.
Well, you get no argument from me. However, considering that very little in this film makes a reference to Generation 1, I think adding in any shooby-doos might have felt a tiny bit awkward and out of place. Now, let's talk a little bit about Skystar. Although I do like her character, I am disappointed that she and her mother are the only sea ponies who have any personality. Skystar spends her time collecting seashells, much to the annoyance of her mother, just like a certain mermaid who collects human stuff against her father's wishes. But she doesn't spend any time among the other sea ponies. Does she not have any friends among her own kind? That's really sad when you stop to think about it. Makes me wish we had just one more sea pony with some characterization. Perhaps to bounce off of Applejack or Fluttershy the same way that Skystar bounces off of Pinkie, Solano with Rainbow, and Capper with Rarity.
Maybe Skystar has Lonely Princess Syndrome? A far too common ailment among young females of royal lineage.
What I really found fascinating, however, was the Pearl of Transformation. This magical treasure has the power to turn anything into anything else. And it not only transforms the main six into sea ponies, but Spike into a pufferfish. This leads Twilight into believing this was the reason Princess Celestia wanted help from the hippogriffs, as she is quick to swim to the Queen's side after witnessing its power.
Could you imagine what could have happened if the main six successfully got the sea ponies, hippogriffs, on their side and turned into something that could easily take out the Storm King and those goons? They could all have been hippogriffs, or maybe even a horde of dragons. Who knows? But instead we get Twilight trying to steal the pearl, raising the alarm, and getting them all thrown out. Way to go, hero.
I will credit the sea ponies this. They do have a better security system than the ponies did in the beginning. Now we come to the emotional climax, the strained relationship between Twilight and her friends. The progression actually flows rather nicely. When Tempest first gave the ultimatum for Canterlot's surrender, Twilight was the first and the only one to offer a diplomatic solution. After that approach failed, Twilight was put on the path of suspicion, not offering friendship so easily to others, especially outside of Equestria.
Trust, or lack thereof, seems to be a major theme throughout the movie. Though to me, I think the scene where Twilight and her friends separate after blowing up at each other could have been made even stronger through a very simple change, suggested to me by my very dear friend Robbie the Jewish Brony. If Twilight had told the others from the beginning that she intended to use them as a distraction to draw the sea ponies away from the pearl, we might have gotten a bit of dialogue where Pinkie or even Applejack would have clearly stated, "No, Twilight, stealing is wrong. We're going to gain their trust to solve this problem the friendship way." And Twilight could have still attempted to steal the pearl on her own, but the feeling of betrayal and not trusting her friend's judgment would have been made even more powerful.
I don't know. I think the scene is potent enough as it is. After all, I don't recall any moment in the show where Twilight deliberately encouraged her friends to do things that they usually do in order for her to do something that she never does, namely stealing. Twilight did this because her friends were doing things the way they always did, and she never saw the results. She saw Capper trying to settle his debt by selling them. She never witnessed him luring Tempest away at his own risk. She was afraid Solano and the pirates were going to give them up first chance they got. She never stayed long enough to find out that they didn't. Instead of trusting that doing the right thing would reap the results she wanted, she let her friends do the right thing, but for the wrong reasons. She also has been shown to look for the quick solution before looking for the right solution.
That's actually a fair point. Twilight is a smart and resourceful pony, and long before she was the Princess of Friendship, she didn't really have that much trust in others, or knew that they would help her in ways she couldn't imagine. Plus, with all the pressure she's under trying to save Equestria and being the last princess standing, no wonder she feels so singled out, like every pony's fate rests on her shoulders.
Of course, being singled out makes her an easy target when Tempest finally catches up with her.
Alright, teeny little nitpick here. Notice how Spike's able to use his green fire blast to take out the Storm King's goon all by himself?
Yeah, so?
Forgive me if I fast forward a little bit here, but later on when the rest of the main six and the others team up to save Canterlot and storm the castle, so to speak, Capper uses Spike like a flamethrower. Doesn't that seem a bit, weird?
You're right. Actually reminds me of another dragon who sometimes gets abused. Now, could we go back to where we were and talk about Tempest Song?
Oh yes, of course. That part sends chills down my spine.
Agreed. This song has to be my favorite in the entire film. In fact, I sang a cover of it not too long ago. With this song, we discover more about Tempest's past, how her horn got broken, and why she has such a strong resentment towards Equestria and friendship. Not gonna lie, I cringed when I saw that Ursa Minor taking a swipe at her, knowing how badly that had to hurt.
I know, and it's the first time we've seen anything about an Ursa Minor since Ghostbusters back in Season 1, and to a lesser extent a flashback in Magic Duel. What a callback! Come to think about it, this scene shows just how powerful unicorn horns are, if it takes a huge magic star bear to break it.
That actually fits in with a headcanon that came up during the writing process of a fanfic collab I'm involved in. In the headcanon, unicorn horns are physically strong, enough to pierce through even wood, but while the magic aura is active, the horn becomes sensitive to the touch, like your funny bone. Can you imagine how painful it would be to actually break your funny bone?
Indeed. The last thing I'd want to lose is my funny bone.
Then who would run the pun shop?
Anyway, this villain song does something not many other villain songs do. When was the last time you heard one that goes as deep into the main antagonist's backstory the way Tempest Song does? The lyrics by themselves are a little bit vague, but the visuals really make this scene pack an emotional punch. Plus, the fact that it's shot in a different animation style clearly shows that this is a flashback scene.
It also gives us a good look at Tempest's main motivation. Even though we knew from the beginning her goal was to have her horn restored, we learned fairly quickly that she felt her potential was handicapped because of her injured horn.
I'd love for everybody out there to know what I can really do.
What can you really do?
Oh great, this guy. I had strong hopes for the Storm King. When we saw him during the communication spell earlier in the movie, I had thought they were going for the old guy that doesn't understand technology gag, which was hilarious. After that, the entire movie is spent with everyone, antagonist and ally alike, fearing the Storm King, giving us exposition dumps as reasons to fear him. This movie builds him up and prepares us to be afraid of him, but when he finally does make another appearance, it's quite underwhelming.
If the movie just gave the Storm King a bit more screen time, we might have gotten something similar to the prequel comic, and see him as an intimidating force with an impetuous nature, making quips while ransacking an entire city, or stealing rare magical artifacts.
Like that staff he's holding? Seriously, where did that thing come from? How does Tempest even know about it?
I was thinking the same place Starlight got her magic staff of stealing butt stamps.
Like I said before, the Storm King really doesn't do anything to show us that we should be afraid of him. Even when he drains the 4 princesses of their magic and starts manipulating the sun and the moon, it feels like he's just a kid playing with dynamite.
Please don't turn the light switch on and off again. You have absolutely nailed down the principal finding of this experiment.
Yep, definitely like a kid. Playing with dynamite. Oh, sweet Celestia.
What? What's the matter?
Bright, I think I just came up with a headcanon that will blow your mind.
Ooh, my favorite type of headcanon. Let's hear it.
The entire time in the movie, the Storm King acts like he has no idea of the power he could have or what enemies he's really up against. Think about it. Equestria has triumphed over Nightmare Moon's eternal night, Discord's chaos, Queen Chrysalis's invasion of Canterlot, King Sombra's attempt to reclaim the Crystal Empire. News of this magnitude has to travel. You'd think that the Storm King might have known about all this before beginning his own equestrian invasion. But what if the Storm King is just a title? What if he only recently became the Storm King, having obtained the title either by inheriting it or somehow usurping the previous Storm King? If this guy became the Storm King only recently, it would explain why his behavior is so childish and why he's so dismissive of what he's up against.
Yeah, friendship and flowers and ponies and boo.
It would also explain why he didn't invade during previous events when all 4 princesses were together, such as the Crystalling or the Pony Summit in Princess Spike. Whoever was Storm King before him would know better than to simply attack the princesses. I'd wager that this guy just blindly invaded without fully assessing who his opponents were, even with Tempest's help.
That is the most mind-blowing headcanon ever!
What was that?
It wasn't me, was it? Oh, you know what must have happened? That must have been one of my hype bombs that went off. I should be more careful about containing my enthusiasm levels.
You have a bomb in your shop?
Don't worry, it's mostly harmless. Can't say the same about the Storm King, unfortunately.
Who cares about your dinky little unicorn horn?
You know, in most movies, it's the hero persuading the antagonist that what they're doing is wrong and that they need to change sides before it's too late. Here, however, it's actually the Storm King's betrayal of Tempest, followed by Twilight saving her, that persuades her that friendship is the real magic. Then, when she catches sight of the Storm King preparing a final blow, Tempest leaps to the rescue and gets close enough to him that she takes him out at the same time with his own crystal bomb. Now that's hardcore.
It's curious Tempest even trusted the Storm King in the first place, given her lack of trust in ponies from such a young age. But I guess if the big baddie's basically your only hope to fix a broken body part, what other choice do you have? Still should have seen that coming.
And speaking of broken body parts... Sorry, movie, but the DuckTales reboot beat you on this one.
Well, looks like we won't see him in the show anytime soon. Too bad, so sad.
Yeah, given the untapped potential that the Storm King had, it's actually really disappointing that he got petrified.
But now the bad guy's gone, we get to have the super happy ending where they fix everything and throw a party.
Even Tempest gets to contribute with her awesome magical fireworks. Looks like Trixie might have some stiff competition here.
I gotta say, the ending song with Sia was a nice way to end the movie on a high note. It felt like a tune you might hear on the radio and never even think about ponies. Kinda how Pharrell Williams' song Happy works on its own, even if it was originally written for Despicable Me 2. And how Justin Timberlake's Can't Stop This Feeling from the Trolls movie took off. I was humming this song out the theater and left feeling like the whole experience was worth the price of admission and beyond. I can see a rainbow in your tears as they fall down. I can see your soul grow through the pain as they give the ground.
I just heard a name pun. Tell me, bride, have you heard it yet?
I can see a name pun. Such a clever joke to get.
All in all, I feel the MLP movie was a worthy addition both to the franchise and to the future of 2D animation. It might not be a perfect movie or exactly the masterpiece we were hoping for, but I believe it did itself more favors than otherwise. If we had maybe 20 or 30 more minutes to expand on certain characters and storyline, it might have improved it greatly. As is, I like to think of this movie as being at the bottom of the ladder. Its current success means it can only get better from here. I give this movie a 5.25 out of 6 elements of harmony.
I came into the My Little Pony movie expecting to have a fun time, and I was not disappointed. The old characters were faithful to the show, the new characters were tons of fun, the music and animation were gorgeous, and seeing one of my favorite shows make the leap to the big screen was such a thrill. I hope we get to see more animated movies that have this level of sheer love and care put into it, pony-related or not. I highly recommend it to MLP fans of all ages, and to people who enjoy epic high fantasies or animated musical films in general. Thank you so much, Ripple, for joining me in this discussion. I think it went just swimmingly.
And thank you for having me. It was a very illuminating conversation.
And thanks to all of you for watching this video. Please remember to check out Ripple Effect's YouTube channel and DeviantArt page. Give this video a like, leave a comment down below with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more...
Wait for it.
Bright ideas!